Hello and God bless you. I have a word that I hope will be encouraging to those who are still waiting on promises from God. And I want to let you know, like Apostle David E. Taylor says, or had said in a message, the higher you want to go, the higher that God's plan is for you, the deeper the roots have to go. Because you can only go as high as your roots are deep, right? If I'm building a one-storied house, the foundation doesn't need to be that deep to support it. But if I'm building a 20-story building, I need a deeper, stronger foundation. And so if God has a big plan for you and has made big promises to you, and you've been waiting some years, just know you're in good company. Because if we look at Abraham, okay, Abraham waited 25 years. And sorry, I'm looking down at my notes here because I've got some things written down. Abraham waited 25 years and he waited in obedience. Abraham was a friend of God. God called him a friend. So he was pleasing the Lord. Did he do some things that weren't perfect? Yeah, yeah. Him and Sarah tried to, make God's miracle their own. They tried to bring about God's promise. So Abraham was in obedience, though. He was a friend of God. He had to wait 25 years for the promise. Okay. He also, lied and said Sarah was his sister because he was scared of the king and little things. But I mean, look at your own record. We've all got little blemishes. But the fact is, he was pleasing to God, walking in obedience, and he had to wait 25 years. Why? Because the promise was so grand to be the father of many nations. Through his seed and his lineage, all the nations of the earth would be blessed, that he would be the father of many nations. That's a big, big deal. The Messiah came from Abraham's lineage. So, Joseph, now let's move on to Joseph. Joseph had to wait 23 years. He walked in obedience. His brother sold him into slavery. That wasn't fair. Then the favor of God, you can't hide the favor of God in your life. You may not have everything you want, but, the Hebrew boy in Egypt got promoted and promoted and promoted till he was running all of Potiphar's house. Man, was that a good training? He was still a slave, still a servant, but he was a blessed servant, a blessed slave. That wasn't God's promise for him. But the favor of God promoted him to get some good practice running the governor's house. Okay. Then back to the prison. God, that's not fair. Man's walking in obedience, doing the right thing. He held on to his integrity. We saw that when Potiphar's wife tried to come on to him and have sex with him. But he held on to his integrity. And we see that there. So, well, how do we know he had his integrity? Because right there, we know he had integrity because of that incident. That's why it was in the Bible. That's why he ended up going to jail, because he held on to his integrity. And what happens in the prison? In the prison, gets promoted to running the jail, running the prison. Wow. What a blessing. Where does that happen at? That doesn't happen. Prisoners don't run the prison. They might work in the prison, but they don't run it. Well, Joseph did. Favor of God. Think that was good practice? Honestly, he was kind of running his father's house, Jacob, way back in the day. His brothers were out there in the field working, and Jacob would send Joseph to go check on them, bring him some food, see how everything's going, do a progress report. That's foreman level stuff as a kid, as a teenager. So he did it at his father's house, did it at Potiphar's house, and did it in the jail. He got practice running things, being a manager of things. But he had to wait 23 years to see the promise that God gave him to be fulfilled, right? Because the greater the promise, the longer the wait, okay? Let me go to David real quick. David, 15 years. 15 years he waited for his promise, being chased by crazy Saul, who was sitting in his seat. God promised David that seat. And he saw Saul, a deranged, demonically possessed lunatic, in his seat that God promised him for 15 years. David was righteous, a man after God's own heart, and he had to wait 15 years. During that time, he was running from Saul. All the misfits, all the rejects, all the defectors from Saul's army, they all came under David's leadership. Good training? Yeah, he was ruling, leading hundreds of people. That was his training ground for what God was going to bring him into. That doesn't happen overnight. It happens through the fire, through the testing, making sure your heart is pure, making sure that not only that God's got the right one, that he can trust you, but that you can trust him and that he can trust you. And although God sees the potential he put in you, he's got to stir up that fire, fan the flames. He's got to lead you and guide you so that you know what it's like during hard times, tough times, to rely on him. It's just how it is. Trust me, I've been waiting on my promise for 29 years, and I'm at the door. But I was not always obedient. I let sin come into my life. Okay? And we see that with the children of Israel. Children of Israel, God, they could have been in their promised land in 40 days. Instead, they waited 40 years. You know, that's what disobedience looks like. And so the point of this message is, no matter how hard things are, no matter how long you've been waiting, if you are walking in obedience, trusting the Lord, learning lessons like, Lord, I don't understand this. What is it you're trying to teach me? Holy Spirit, reveal to me what it is I knew that I need to do to learn this lesson. You know, what's the heart posture I need here to please the Lord? What can I do to please the Lord in this situation? If you walk in obedience, you will please the Lord. So that's what it's all about. The promises might take some time, but as long as you're walking in obedience, you're going to get there quicker. If we look at Jesus's life, at 12 years old, the Bible records he was cocked and loaded, ready to go. Mommy, Daddy, didn't you know I'd be in my Father's house preaching the gospel? But he was only 12. You think he was ready to lead the ministry that he did at 30? Of course not. Jesus, he had no earthly father. His father was God. The Holy Spirit birthed Jesus through Mary. At 12 years old, he thought he was ready. That's like most of us. When we're 25, 30, 35, we're like, God, hey, what's up with them promises you gave me? I'm ready to go. But if you're like me, you look back, you know, a couple years later, and you're like, wow, I wasn't ready. I still had a little compromise in my life. I had some weaknesses. I had some maturing to do. I had some things to learn. And you'll do that over and over again, realizing you weren't ready. You know when you're ready? When God opens that door that no man can shut. You know what your job is to do? Be obedient and to trust God. Be obedient and trust God. That will greatly accelerate the time. Because if we look at these examples, Jesus waited 18 years. Abraham had to wait 25. You know, David 15 and Joseph 23. So 25, Abraham, 23 years Joseph, 15 years David, and 18 years Jesus, right? So, but it could have looked like the children of Israel. You could have had to wait 40 years. Do you want to wait 15 years, maybe 18 years? Or do you want to wait 40 years, your whole entire life? I've been waiting 29 years for my promises. And I know internally that had I just walked in obedience, not had compromise, that compromise is a killer. You want God to promote you to this level, but you still got sin in your life, and that sin will destroy you. The thing about sin is, a little sin leavens the whole lump. Why does the Bible say that? Because money is a multiplier, a magnifier. Have you ever seen people with money? They think they rule the world. They think they own the joint. They're cocky. They're arrogant. Not all of them, but a lot of young people that come into money, new money does that. And there's no limit to what you could do. You like prostitutes? That's a little dark secret in your past? Well, guess what? You got the money. You got prostitutes galore. There's no limit to the prostitutes or massage parlors or whatever you want to call them. You like alcohol. You like drugs. You like whatever your vice is, whatever that sin is. When you've got, a lot of money, you can do whatever you want, and it can destroy you. And God is trying to protect you. I can tell you with absolute certainty, after my last breakup, I stopped drinking, and I cut that compromise out of my life. And that one decision, that one little thing with the drinking, was the thing that opened up to all the other sins in my life. So all of those got packaged up, sucked up in with the alcohol, and you pluck the alcohol out, Satan ain't got nothing on me. He doesn't have a stronghold. He has no foothold. There's no place for him. I kept giving him place with the alcohol, because there goes your inhibitions. There goes your decision-making skills. For me, it was like party, fun. Dude, I was carefree. So anyway, now with that said, then some of you, if you're still watching, I'm going to have to speed this up. I'm 12 minutes in right now. I'm going to run it through and speed it up. But hopefully you're still with me, because here's the good part. Some of you are wondering, well, how is God going to do it? How could it be? Just like Mary. How could it be? I've never known a man. In the natural, that makes impossible sense. They can't be. And I'm going to tell you, just like the angel told Mary, with God, there's nothing that's impossible. Let's look at a small example, which is pretty magnificent, right? Jesus and Peter. Jesus said, go down to go down to the lake or whatever. First fish you pull up is going to have a gold coin in its mouth. Go pay our taxes. How'd that happen? Just out of thin air, seemingly. Children of Israel ain't have nothing to eat. What happened? Manna. Manna from heaven. Every single day, God provided manna from heaven. All right? What other examples do I got here? Oh, yeah. God will do it in other ways too, like expanding what's there. Right? We see that with Jesus and the fish and the loaves of bread. One little boy and a little fish, little bread. Jesus fed 5,000 men, plus their women, plus their children. So you're talking about, 12, 15,000 people there from one boy's little lunch that his mom packed him. So that's multiplication, creating out of thin air from this, turning into that. We see it with the Elijah, with the oil. With the oil that just kept pouring and pouring and pouring until she filled all her vases. I didn't have this one in my notes. It just came to me just now. She had one little bit of oil. She was going to make a little pan. They were going to eat it, her and her son, and it was going to die. What happened? She bumped into a prophet. And a little bit of oil turned into life savings. And then God will do it in different ways, right? Kind of like what he did with Abraham, or like what he did with in the Elisha story with the woman. He's like, man, what can I do for you? You guys have been so good to me. And he said, you know what? You're going to have a son this time next year. And she's like, no, I can't be. Me and my husband have been trying our whole lives. We can't have children. And voila, they have a child. Happened with Hannah, who, had Samuel. And then the last story is God can also do it in ways that are more conventional, right? The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, for the righteous. Where do we see that at? We saw that with the Egyptians and the children of Israel. When children of Israel left Egypt, they didn't leave empty-handed. What did they leave with? The wealth of Egypt. The wealth of Egypt. Transferred all of their gold into his children. So when you ask how can God do it, those are just a few examples right there. God can do it however he wants to. And I have heard my entire life about people being given. And you'll hear it, I sowed $1,000 seed, and next thing I know, boom, this big deal came. This big door opened. This, person just gave me, a car. The $1,000 wasn't enough for the car, but they gave me a $20,000 car, $15,000 car. And all I did was, it was obedient to God and sowed $1,000 seed. It was everything to me. I heard this analogy, you got the egg and you got the pig. And you got a chicken and you got a pig. And the chicken says to the pig, you know what? The master's been really good to us. Let's go ahead and give the master some eggs and bacon. And the pig says, I heard this. I can't remember exactly, but the pig says, hold up, man. You can just drop eggs every day if you want. But if I give bacon, I'm literally giving everything. I'm giving over my life. And that's kind of like, sometimes how it is. God will ask you to do something and it'll feel like you're giving everything your entire life. And if you think you can outgive God, you just simply can't. If God tells you to do something, it is a test. It is a test. And every test, when passed, comes with a reward. All right? Encompassing this entire message. If God gave you promises, you got one thing to do. Trust and believe, be obedient, and walk by faith, not by sight. All of those are one thing. It's obedience, faith, trust, hoping in God, doing the right thing, living righteously, and obedience unto God. That's one thing. Being a good servant. My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you, or away, something like that. That's what it is. The moment you start putting the promises of God as your main focus, it really is an idol, right? I've been waiting on God. He's not giving it to me. Well, we've all been there. I've been there. They used to run me to the bottle. Like, man, screw this. Drinking. And I realized what I see in my life, what I have or what I don't have, does not change who God is. It doesn't change his promises. He doesn't lie. My only response is to be obedient, walk in faith, live righteously, pleasing unto the Lord. And if I do that, I know one thing for sure, two things for certain. God is not a man that he should lie. He sends his word out and it will perform what it was sent to perform. The only one that can block the promises of God coming true in my life is me, because I did it for 29 years. All right, so be encouraged. If you have promises from God, they are coming when you stop blocking yourself. Get your wills and your desires and the things that you idolize out of the way. Get the sin out of your life, and surely God's promises will come to pass in your life. All right? And we are, make no mistake about it, we are in the glory movement of God at times like we have never seen in all of human existence. This is the time to get in line. Get under the spout where the glory's pouring out, because rest assured, God is doing a new thing on this earth right now. And you don't want to miss it. Now is the time to cut the sin out of your life. Now is the time to press in and reestablish, restore your relationship with God, because you don't want to miss what's right around the corner. It's going to get dark, but the light shines brighter when it's darkest. And God, if God made promises to you, it's because he wants to use you. Will you accept your assignment? If you accept your assignment, right now is the time to get in line, get the sin out of your life, get the compromise out of your life, the wrong people out of your life, whatever it is you're putting on this pedestal. It's okay. You want to watch TV? Watch TV. You want to play sports? Play sports. You want to, do whatever? Do it. But do not allow those things to remove God from his place of priority in your life. You want to pray in the morning? Do it. You want to pray in the evening? Do it. Pray in the afternoon? Do it. Just make sure that you are still connected to the source. Get the sin out, the compromise out. Focus on your relationship with God, because right now he is looking for men and women to use mightily on this earth. You don't want to miss it. All right. I hope this message was encouraging to you. Your promises are not gone. There might be some blockers in there. Remove the blockers. Remove the blockers. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and those things will be given to you that he promised you. That I can promise you. All right. God bless you. If you want to hear some more messages, if you like this message, click that big old thumb in the corner of your screen. I'd appreciate it. Leave a comment if you got anything to say. Maybe you don't like my new haircut. I got a little crazy with the scissors. Maybe my beard is ugly. Let me know in the comments. God bless you. Hope to see you again.